So here is an interesting article regarding blatant Wall Street theft of retirement assets. In a shocking interview with PBS, billionaire mutual fund icon Jack Bogle revealed that Wall Street is unapologetically stealing from millions of hardworking Americans. Bogle showed how 70% of your market returns go straight to the pockets of Wall Street, and only 30% actually goes to you, the investor. And Bogle should know he is a billionaire. He founded the Vanguard Group in 1974 and has had a decades-long insider's view of the entirely corrupt fee structure of Wall Street. So he knows how American retirees are being fleeced by hidden fees that most investors never see. And at a recent private event, Steve Forbes actually echoed the same shocking claim. Forbes pointed out that these fees are compounding and over time are devastating to retirement nest eggs. The typical Wall Street 2% management fee compounded over the long term will cut your returns in half or more. If you would normally have $100,000, you could end up with, say, $30,000 or $40,000 because of what the fees eat up. Of course, Bogle and Forbes aren't the only industry icons sounding the alarm. Warren Buffett, of all people, made it clear that the only way to make money over the long term is to invest, quote, without paying fees to a mutual fund manager, end quote. Forbes took these comments even further when he and the industry veteran John Schubert exposed the biggest threat to your retirement during the exclusive Investment Crisis Summit held by Newsmax Finance. During the summit, Forbes and co-host Schubert revealed groundbreaking research that proves Wall Street's compounding fees are only part of a larger flaw in the financial system. It's this flaw that makes it completely legal for Wall Street to siphon off up to 70% of your profits. It says, editor's note, Forbes and Schubert give proof on Wall Street's loophole for legally grabbing your profits. It's another article. Before you dismiss the notion that Wall Street could legally take your profits as a matter of course, consider the facts Forbes and Schubert revealed during the summit. Citing new research from the Harvard Business School and London School of Economics, they pointed out that this industry flaw is a permanent condition of the market, meaning it can't be fixed. It cannot be fixed. And investors who don't take steps today to overcome this flaw could lose more than just their 70% of their profits. They could end up losing their ability to retire altogether. At the summit, attendees also discovered how outdated regulations actually force Wall Street fund managers to underperform their benchmarks. Schubert showed that how 80% of the stocks held in mutual funds are nothing more than dead weight stocks, providing no excess return for investors. That means for every $100 you invest, only $20 is actually working for you to generate market-beating returns. The remaining $80 is simply fodder for Wall Street's fee machine. Wow. To drive the point home, Forbes and Schubert clearly illustrated how deadweight stocks and fees make it mathematically impossible for fund managers to beat the market. Summit attendees were fuming after learning how the system is working against them, but they became overwhelmingly confident once they learned how to take simple steps to avoid the financial carnage that unwitting mutual fund investors could experience in their retirement years. Schubert said, quote, it's a clear and actionable blueprint that sidesteps Wall Street fees and makes sure all of your money is put to work. When we first held the summit, people were outraged by what they learned and asked to make the recording of the summit public so that they could share it with their friends and family. The real concern is that more than 96 million people own mutual funds, and the ones who have no idea they're being fleeced will be the hardest hit when they need the money the most, at retirement. It's scary to think so many Americans will end up with a lot less money than they thought at retirement. But we want the average American to be prepared, and that is why we will continue to push the exclusive video recording from the Investment Crisis Summit to as many outlets as we can. We want the word to spread. And there's on this link here is a 8-minute, actually it looks like a 60-minute video. And I might as well just upload this now, which is 9 o'clock at night, Tuesday, rather than wait for the morning like I usually do, just to have it out there. And I'll link to the site so that you can watch this video. That's just incredible. I mean, are you shocked? And think, some of the 401k money, I'm sure, is tied up. You never know what the person that's investing your money is in. It's probably in some mutual fund, potentially. So at the same time, I want to get out of that 401k, get out of that 401k. Oh, do you still have a job? Yeah, can't get out of the 401k. I'll take the fee, hit me with 10% up. Still have a job? Yep, can't take it. Why can't I get my money? Well, because you have to be in a quote-unquote hardship in order to take your money out. So even if I'm willing to pay a 10% early, termination, whatever, take out early fee, I still can't do that if I am not in a financial hardship. Correct. Wonder who designed that kind of system. Because as it talks about here, just when you need that money the most, reminds me of J.G. Wentworth. You ever see them commercials? It's my money. I need it now. It's my money, and I need it now. It was my money, and I wish I could have it now. That's what people are going to be saying. Me, on the other hand, it's my silver. I've owned it and held it in my hands the whole time, and I don't need to get rid of it now. Because prices aren't where they're going to skyrocket to yet. But when they do, it will be your money and my money, and we will need it now. Truly amazing. Wall Street, Wall Street, Wall Street. And I thought back in the day, way before any of us were born, the 1929 crash, bankers were jumping off of buildings and killing themselves, and Wall Street, and I never could wrap my head around that one. Why would these people be jumping out of windows to their death? And then I realized, a story like this comes into play, and then the market completely collapses, and you find out, okay, I'm trying to get out of the market, and people are going to flood out of that market when it crashes, right? And you're not going to be able to get there quick enough. You're not going to be able to call your broker. As I said before, you're not going to be able to pick up the phone and call your broker. His phone is going to be ringing busy with other clients who beat you to it. So you're going to email him. And he's not going to be able to get that email soon enough because a million other people emailed him before you. And he's got all these live calls he's taking. All in which telling him, sell my stocks and shares and whatever he's got. Unless you can get into some kind of online trading system that accesses your account, basically not the trading system itself, but online account, okay, I can pull my money out of the market at any time I want and put it set aside in cash or whatever, just keep it in the account. That's the only way you're going to end up saving yourself. And even then, let's not forget about MF Global. They took their customers' money out of the customer's allocated account, which means they are never, ever, ever supposed to touch that money. It is the customer's. And MF Global took it and used it and bet on it and lost and went bankrupt, effective immediately. So even in a scenario like that, or like I'm talking about, where you did log in somehow or got a hold of your broker and he set it aside in cash and allocated account, good. brokerage firms, mutual funds, all these guys, the only way they make money is by playing with your money. Or did I say playing? No. Investing your money and them taking their little fee off the top. So if a whole bunch of people come to them and remove all this money from them, in other words, give me my money out, take it out of the market now, I'll take it, sell at whatever the price is, give it to me. That fund, mutual fund, broker, whatever it is, that company is left with pocket change, so to speak, compared to what they had. Number one, the market's crashing, so that's the reason. Number two, people are going to be selling, get me out of there, and walking away with almost nothing. So these people, these companies are left with nothing in return. So there's going to be a whole lot of bankruptcies happening. And again, do you think by chance, let's look at very recent history, in case you're wondering if history repeats, right? We can look at history to see the future. MF Global. Was MF Global the only company that's done something like this? No. Bernie Madoff, remember that guy, right? Or Madoff, however you pronounce his name. There are so many schemes out there that have been in existence that just haven't popped yet, haven't come out, haven't come to the surface. Just like these banks with Austria or something I'm reading about the other day, this huge bank, were insolvent. And while I'm on the subject, I could have swore I sent myself that as a video to talk, as an email to talk about. Not seeing it. But like the day before, I mean, just week before, whatever, the classification of this bank was, of these bonds and stuff this bank just defaulted on, were like super high grade, known as riskless. Riskless rating. When you hear the words, oh, I have something for you, it is completely riskless. What does that tell you? Man, JSNIP4 has some idea. And he hasn't said what it is yet, but he said it's riskless. Riskless. Man, if I get in on it, I can't lose money. So whatever it is, worst case scenario, I'll get my money back. Best case scenario, whatever he's talking about, we'll make some money. Riskless scenario. Sounds fantastic. JSNIP, what's up? Oh yeah, look, I've got the financial industry regulators, or not really the regulators, but the ratings agencies. They've categorized me, and I'm talking the big dog rating agencies, as riskless. Come on, invest with me. Only to find out, day later, bang! Extremely risky. So risky, they defaulted on a multi-billion-dollar payment and are effectively bankrupt. And will be proceeded to be bailed in by the taxpayers, most likely, from what I've been reading. So how does something have a status of, kind of like when, I was at the bank today. I was at Bank of America, one of my favorite banks, second favorite from JP Morgan, actually. JP Morgan Chase. My friend at work banks with them. And we're going to lunch. Hey, like I stop at the bank. You want to come in? Yeah, I'll come in and hang out for a minute. And I'm just hanging on the side, and I see the little placard, FDIC insured. Deposits, insuring deposits of at least, it said, at least $250,000. Deposits are insured from at least $250,000. Well, at first glance, at least means that's the minimum, which means if I had $500,000 in this bank, it should be insured because your statement says at least $250,000, so it's got to be more than $250,000. Or is that a misleading statement? Oh, it's misleading. Because there isn't enough FDIC insurance money to deal with the crisis of a banking collapse. There's normally somewhere around $50 to $80 billion in the DIF fund, which is the fund that insures your money. $50 to $80 billion, and there's somewhere around 6 or 7 trillion, I think, in deposits, somewhere between 5 and 7 trillion in deposits in American banks, FDIC insured. 5 to 7 trillion, 50 to 80 billion in insurance. Boy, that's pretty cattywampus, wouldn't you say? Like, wouldn't take too much to completely clean that fund out, would it? But there's a law on the books that says in an emergency situation, $500 billion will be given by the Treasury to the FDIC to help out. Once again, $500 billion or 500 billion, 5 to 7 trillion in deposits. Don't think that's going to work out. So, just like this bank we're talking about right now was riskless category here. Oh, top of the line. Bonds, everything this bank does is riskless. Step right up and get in on this. Oh, next day. Yeah. About that riskless thing. Yeah, we can't make a multi-billion-dollar bond payment. And riskless just got a whole lot riskier. As Lindsey Williams said, if it's written on a piece of paper when the big collapse happens, this isn't even the big collapse I'm speaking of. This is small stuff, believe it or not. When the big collapse comes, if it's written on a piece of paper, it will not be worth the paper it is written on. As he said. Well, how do we save it? His elite friend? Gold and silver will be the only thing left standing when all this is said and done. And that's our money, Lindsay, is what he told him. Paper, that stuff, that's for you, for the peasants. The elite, gold and silver is our money. Lindsay, don't you ever wonder why there's never any tax collected under any circumstances for gold and silver? Hey, you're right. That's because it's our money. That's what he told him. It's because it's our money. We're not paying taxes. That's for the peasants. But he was kind enough to tell Lindsay, who was kind enough to tell the rest of us. And I know, this last year, 2014, January, February, March, we were waiting. There was supposed to be a big speech about devaluation in different currencies. 170 countries have agreed to do this devaluation when it occurs and then reevaluate based off of the country's assets, and hadn't heard a peep about that. So naturally, well, Lindsay's a liar. No. As he said, these people, these elite, some of them may think they're God, but they're not. They're human. And sometimes things don't happen when they want it to happen or how they wanted it to happen. For example, look no further than the same example I always give, the Middle East. They did go to Egypt first, like he said, overthrow that place, gave it the Muslim Brotherhood, Yemen, Libya, etc. Try to get into Syria, stop dead in our tracks. We got stopped dead in our tracks. We, as in, I say we, as if I'm talking like I'm one of the elite or something. They got stopped dead in their tracks. I say we as America because they're using America to do this. CIA, military people, that's American. We use them for this purpose, but we're not going to tell them that. You guys are going over to fight terrorists. That's all you need to know. You're fighting anyone that shoots at you is a terrorist. Shoot back. Captain, it kind of looks like they just don't want us here. They're trying to defend their area. Like they don't like us here. Because I'm not really seeing terrorists, Captain. Did you just disobey a command? No, I was just kidding. I'm just messing around. Just thought I'd joke with you. Let me go kill some people. I'll be right back. In the name of American freedom, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. As if you're gonna know. You are the peon with a gun on your shoulder. I was a sergeant a second. You're nobody. You do what you're told to do, which is why there are military courts, military prisons, so that when you say I can't obey this command, they're going to say, oh, really? You'll be court-martialed in our military court system, which will throw you into a military prison for not following orders. And you're not going to have a trial, members of the jury. No, we handle that here. There's a little different. When you sign that piece of paper to sign up for the military, Yeah, you may want to go read that again. But you think, well, I was being American and I want to, fight for my country and fight for freedom, and that's what I thought. And then I went over there and found out that it wasn't quite that, and I decided to come home and blow my head off. What do you mean, blow your head off? Well, since I've got you on the video here, so to speak, if you don't mind, veteran suicides 2014. We're too new into 2015. Nearly 1,900, first article, and this is March 29. How does this even make sense? Let me go ahead. Business Insider. Let me go ahead and pull this up, because this is going to be shocking. This was written, the article, March 29, 2014. And it says 1,892 U.S. veterans are thought to have committed suicide since January 1st, 2014. January, February, March, and I'll give them till April, because it's almost April, end of March. January to February, February to March, March to almost April, we'll call it 3 months. You telling me that 2,000, nearly 1,900, veterans are thought to have committed suicide since a 3-month time span? Are you kidding me? This is Business Insider. This isn't, conspiracy. What conspiracy side are you reading, Jason? Business Insider? Right. And I've done videos on this in the past, so I want to remind anyone that may have forgotten this. That number, 1,892, is probably double, because there's a little trick the government likes to pull. Kind of like, unemployment percentage, rates down. We just had 300,000 job losses. No, unemployment's still 6 point something percent. Yeah, it doesn't. But what about the people who fall off the workforce, they never go back? Well, we don't count that. Well, then your unemployment's not right. Well, yeah, it is, because we don't look at that. So our statistics show it's right. Kind of like the last 20 or 30 years, the Federal Reserve has changed the formula of how they determine inflation. And if the key things you would absolutely guarantee are in there, gasoline, oil, energy, electricity, food, we don't look at those stats. That's hogwash. That's blasphemy, if you will. We don't need that for inflation. We're not going to look at it. They've changed it 20 times. It's just a nonsense stat. So what do they do with this? Well, when the veteran comes back, you're done? Like you're, right, you put in your time? Yes. Two tours, whatever you want to call it. Yep. Okay, I'm out. Final time they come back, a little bit of time period comes back into civilian life, they blow their head off. They are not counted as a, military or veteran death. They like to consider that, well, they're civilian now. If they were active duty or even, then we can call it that. But now we're not going to call it that. So they have a way of kind of siphoning some of those off because of the circumstances of when they got out. Were they still getting paid? Were they a pension? Oh, okay, then they're a citizen. So that just goes along with the pile of citizen suicides. And the video I did a long time back showed how it was basically roughly half goes away. So in other words, if I just apply that math right here, 1,900 times 2, that's a lot more. We're getting close to 4,000 now in 3 months. So I'll stop getting off on my side tangents, and in case you want to hear this particular interview or whatever it was, I'll go ahead and link this for you. Take care.